Okay, good evening. I wasn't going to do a review, but after grading your papers, I decided I was going to do a quick review over two of your problems from your previous homework. I was hoping you guys would actually come to a meet and ask me for help, because some of you need to be asking for help, but you're not. But I couldn't stand it, so I said, okay, I've got to just post two of your problems. So this was from classwork number 22. This is number 4. We're going to build a Venn diagram. All right, so building the diagram, so I guess I should say that if you need classwork 22 and you need classwork 23, if you're going to do this review with me. So press pause, go get classwork 22 and classwork 23. Okay, so this is number 4. So I'm just going to read the paper. I'm not writing a lot of stuff down. So I'm going to start at the bottom on number 4, the last bullet. I'm reading from the last bullet here. It says there are 125 students that are not taking AP courses, because this is about AP courses. So I would put 125 students down here. Okay, so then it says 12 students are taking all 3 courses. That's why you start in the middle. This is 12. And then it says 23 students are taking AP Lit and AP Statistics. Okay, hold on, here we go. So set A is AP US History. They should have said that at the very beginning. So set A is History. Okay, set B is Lit. And set C is Stats. Okay, that's a little bit more helpful now. Okay, now we can keep moving. So 23 students are taking AP Lit and AP Stats. So Lit and Stats. So Lit and Stats, there's 23 students, so that would be that little football right there. Remember how I say you just start from the inside and you spread out? So 12 plus what will give me 23? 12 plus 11 will give me 23. Moving up the bullets, it says 19 students are taking AP US History and AP Statistics. So stats and history. So if I say right here, this would be that football right here, and it says 19. So 12 plus what is going to give me 19? That would be a 7. 12 plus 7 gives me 19, because it said 19. So this is history. That's the pink circle, and the blue circle where they connect. That right there is the intersection of those two. So my last football, obviously right here, the pink and the brown, that's got to be those students that are taking history and lit together. And sure enough, I go up to the next bullet. It says 63 students are taking AP US History and AP Lit. So 63, 12 plus 51 right here, and this little football right here have to add up to 63. And so now we're ready for the big circles. And this is where I saw a lot of mistakes, just on your Venn diagram, so of course all your other answers are going to be incorrect. So the next bullet says 69 students are taking AP Stats. So this needs to add up to 69. So you could first add this and then subtract it from 69. You could go 69 minus 11 minus 12 minus 7. It doesn't matter which order you want to do that in. But this needs to be 39, because the blue circle completely needs to add up to 69, because that's how many total altogether are taking stats. And then for set B, it says 119 students are taking AP Lit. So the brown circle needs to add up to 119. So 51 plus 12 plus 11. If I subtract that from 119, I would need a 45 here. And let me tell you something real quick. If I said how many students are just taking Lit, just taking literature, that would be 45 right here. Okay, so then the last one here for history, that would be 130 students here. So 51 plus 12 plus 7, take away from 130 would leave me 60 left over. Now if I added all these numbers up together, it better equal 350, because that's how many students were surveyed. So that's how you could double check your Venn diagram to see if you even did it correctly in the first place. So then if I start answering the questions, A says A, and it has the upside down, which means and means peanut butter and jelly. I want peanut butter and jelly. It means it has to be those two things completely. Not just peanut butter, not just jelly, peanut butter and jelly. It's an intersection. So when you see an upside down, I want all three intersections. So A is right there in the middle. That would be 12. Then you go to B. B says, how many students are in A and B only? So A and B only would be these two right here. That's 51 and 12, which would be 63. Then C says, how many students are in A union C? A union C. So this would be all this except for there, right there. A union C. So it's everything but the blue and of course the 125 out here. A union C, you would just add up all those numbers, including the 51. And so when you add up all those numbers, you get 180. Then on D, it says how many students are in B union C. So B union C would be adding all those numbers up right there. Okay, so you got my brown and my blue. I just left off the 60, and of course I'm leaving off the 125. So that one right there would be 165. And then E would be how many students are not C. Not C. So put your whole hand over C. And then add up the 60, 51, the 45, and of course the 125. So E is 281. And then F says, how many students are not in A union B? So not in A union B. So A union B is all of that right there, but it says not A union B. So I like to use my hand or get a sticky note and do it. So there's A union B, but it says not A union B, so it'd be those two answers, 39 and 125. So that would be 164. And then the last one, nope, two more, G, my bad. G says how many students are not in B union C. So here's B union C, so not would be 60. Am I right? It says not B union C, because Mr. Emery has something funny on his key. B union C, there's B union C, not B union C. So it should be 60 and 125, that should be 185. Oh yeah, that was right, there was a mistake on there. That would be 185, and I wrote that a little note to you guys. And then H says how many students are in not A intersect B. So let's do not A. So this is what I'm going to draw this, not A. So not A are this. That's not A, but then they have to intersect B. So the ones that intersect B would be those two. So on those two, that would be 56. How am I doing on time? Good. Oops, 20:56. All right, so when I scoot up the paper, this is the other one that I just started grading tonight late. So this is classwork 6, and I already started the Venn diagram to help me out. So on this one, on number 6, this is classwork 23. It says that you have 80 students say they drive themselves, 50 say they use public transportation, and 30 say they use both. So what do? I start in the middle. I start with the intersection. So 30% say they use both. Or you can put 0.3 or 0.30, whichever you're more comfortable with. And then so let's go back. 80% say they drive themselves. So this whole black circle has to equal 80%. So this would be 0.50. Okay, because 80% drive themselves. And then how many use public transportation? It says 50% use public transportation. So the red or maroon, whatever color that is, has to equal 50%. So this has to be 0.20. Remember, this is an overlap. Okay, that's the intersection. That's why you always start in the middle first. Now look, if you add those up, all the way up, that equals 1. That's 100%. So there is nothing out here. So they either drive, use public transportation or use both. There is nothing out here in the extra sample space. Okay, so then A says, what is the probability that a randomly selected student does not drive themselves to class? Does not drive them. There's drive, there's not drive. So it's outside the black circle. So A, and there was a mistake on the key, but I put a note, if you ever read my notes on the outside. Okay, so there's A. B says, what is the probability that a randomly selected student does not take public transportation? So, does not take public transportation. So that's your red circle. Does not take public transportation. Right there, you cover up the whole red circle. 0.50 or 50. Okay, then C says, what is the probability that a randomly selected student drives themselves and never takes public transportation? Drives themselves. And here was the key word. That's why I think some of you missed this. And never takes public transportation. So they never take public transportation. So that's just these guys over here. They never enter the circle. So it's like not public transportation. So that would be 0.50. So never take public transportation. So that's 0.5 or 0.50. Okay, and then the last one, so a lot of you missed this one, by the way, because they never take public transportation. And then on D, what is the probability that blah, 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 drives themselves or, that's the addition rule. Well, but or means union, so you could have looked at your Venn diagram, and some of you actually tried to use the addition rule. I was so proud of you. I think Michael was one of them. So if you use the addition rule, if you said, went back to your original problem, if you said the probability of drive, which is 80, plus the probability of transportation, public transportation, which is 50, subtract the intersection, which was 30, so that's 130 minus 30, you get 100%, which is the correct answer, or 1. Okay. So I will be on Meet at 11 o'clock. So if you want some extra help, which some of you really need, and I think you're probably really close, but you're not asking me, hey, what am I doing wrong? Because it just could be a little bitty thing. So come meet me on Meet at 11 o'clock. All right. Peace out.